What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Hands-On channel. We're out here in my woods, and man, I needed this. I needed to get out in my woods and just kind of decompress, absorb all the news from the week and from everything that's been going on. Listen, coyotes. Ranger, come on over here, buddy. Hopefully y'all are hearing that. Had cut lots more coyotes this year, but yeah, I've been out looking around for some morel mushrooms and stuff. I'm a little early right now, but you got to always be Johnny on the spot if you're going to get some morel mushrooms. But I wanted to address something. In my last video, after I rewatched it myself, it kind of came off like I was pro-Trump 100% and I was defending Trump and all this stuff, and that was not my intention of that video. Toward the end of the video, I talked about how my main problem was that we don't have equal justice here in this system anymore. That was the point of the video. It wasn't to defend Trump or to say that he shouldn't be whatever, arraigned or whatever. And I didn't do a great job of like doing compare and contrast on that video. Sometimes I let my emotions run wild and I get a little bit passionate and I drop some F-bombs and different things like that because I'm madder than hell. I don't like seeing my country being destroyed from within, right? I mean, I'm sure you're like that as well. And a lot of people came in the comments and they were saying stuff, you know, like basically Trump's an actor and you can't trust him. He's part of the New World Order was one of the comments. What else was it? I mean, just several people that were like anti-Trump, clearly, and they believe Trump is part of the machine or whatever. And one of those people I replied to, and I was like, look, man, the NWO hates Trump. They hated Trump from the day he announced his presidential campaign back in 2016. They hate the guy. I mean, so he's not part of the NWO. That would be too hard of a sell for him to act the way he did and convince everybody. I mean, nobody would believe it, right? I mean, there's nobody that's that good of an actor, right? So am I saying Trump is perfect? No, he's not. In fact, in 2016, during the primary, I did not vote for Trump. I voted for Ted Cruz. I'll tell you the truth. And now, looking back on some of the stuff that Ted Cruz has done in the past several years, I retract that. I would have not voted for him again. You know, I mean, if I had to do all over again, I would not have voted for Ted Cruz. I would have voted for Donald Trump. And the reason why was because I was very skeptical. I remember calling around, talking to several people that I confide in and stuff. And I was like, look, man, do you believe this Trump guy? I mean, you know, he's been all over every side of every issue throughout his career. And there's a lot of stuff, you know, a lot of dirt on Trump. We all knew that Trump came with the baggage of being a celebrity and a rich guy for, you know, decades and decades, right? So we knew that was the case. We knew that he was brash and bombastic and like a bull in a china shop and egotistical, egomaniac, whatever you want to call him. I agree. A lot of these things were reasons why I couldn't endorse Trump during the primary in 2016. So all that being said, Trump blew my mind at the things that he did. The things he was able to accomplish, for one thing, calling out the fake news. Trump put more of a spotlight on the fake news media than any other president in my lifetime. I'm going to go out on a limb here, and yeah, there were some bad things, like what was it called? Not Fast and Furious, that was Obama's thing. Warp Speed, with the whole vaccine and everything like that. Trump still needs to come back off of that and say, look, man, I was lied to. The people that I was trusting in my administration weren't forthcoming and truthful with me about this whole vaccine process. And, you know, I'm not a doctor, so they were able to bamboozle me, and therefore I was wrong about that. Trump needs to come out and address that before the 2024 election. He needs to say, look, man, there's clearly something going on with all this died suddenly stuff that's been all throughout the news. I mean, every day I click on the news, I see more and more star athletes in their prime collapsing on the field. I just saw an anchor the other day on some news show. Maybe it was a meteorologist or something. She collapsed while doing her broadcast, just flat passed out. And so I have no regrets that I didn't take the V, and my family, I encouraged everyone that would listen to me not to take the damn thing because it was experimental, right? And it shouldn't have been pushed out the way it was. That aside, Trump did a lot of good for this country, and it's undeniable, guys. If you look at the economy, compare and contrast the economy alone, Trump presidency, versus Biden presidency, Trump presidency versus Obama presidency. You can clearly see that there is a trend with the leftists. When they get in power, they hurt the energy sector. They go after oil and natural gas, all of our proven sources of energy. They go after that. They attack that like it's the plague on the earth and like we're destroying the earth and trying to guilt people into not using fossil fuels and driving electric cars and all this stuff. And that's how I know that the Biden administration is a continuation of the Barack Obama regime. Barack Obama famously said back in the day that if he could run a third term and just basically have a shadow puppet, or I don't remember how exactly he put it, but he basically said that if he could run a third term without actually being the president, he would do that. And that is exactly what's going on right here. If you listen to these liberals, they tell you what they're actually doing way ahead of time. So anyway, again, I'm not pulling back on anything I said in my last video. I believe everything that I say when I say something and I put it out on the YouTube channel here for you guys to view and comment on and stuff like that. Part of the reason that I do these videos is to generate commentary, you know, from you guys. I don't want to feel like I'm in an echo chamber and surrounded by people that all think exactly the same way as I do, because that's dangerous. That can lead you to a being blindsided. You know, if you're always focused like this and you've got tunnel vision only on the things you believe in, then things could be happening over here that you're unaware of. And that's when something's going to come around and sucker punch you and you're not going to be ready for it. So, I mean, guys, we can just look at the compare and contrast of what's going on here in the United States of America under Joe Biden's so-called leadership. Although, again, in that last video, I was like, I didn't really know what to call it. It's not fucking leadership. Excuse me, there I go again. It's not leadership in the traditional sense. It's basically a guy jumping off a bridge and everybody else following him. And so that's what's going on in the country, in my opinion. And that's part of our problem and the deep-seated divide that we're all experiencing here in the country. I mean, half the people, I guess, they say, according to the election results last time, about half the people believe Donald Trump is, you know, the scourge of the earth. And I'm sure they're all cheering for this, you know, lock him up, arrest him, throw away the key, all that stuff. But if you're going to do that, liberals, you're setting a dangerous precedent. For one thing, Joe Biden right now has all sorts of Chinese connection, dirty money that is unaccounted for, going into Hunter, his daughter, several other people, his daughter-in-law, after I think his son's name was Bo. His son Bo died, and then Hunter swept in and started, like, you know, porking the daughter-in-law. I mean, that just, for one thing, that doesn't seem appropriate in any family setting, but that's what happened. And we all know about the stuff that's on Hunter's laptop. It's all over the internet for anyone who wants to see it. I mean, crack pipes, hookers, you know, all this stuff that you just can't believe somebody would be so freaking idiotic to record this stuff, much less give his laptop away so that it was actually found. It almost seems like somebody that has a guilty conscience that is trying to redeem themselves by doing this. They want to get caught, right? There are a lot of people, a lot of criminals out there that they do the stuff long enough, they actually do little things because they actually want to get caught. And I think that's what's going on with Hunter Biden. I don't know if he was sexually abused as a young person, but I mean, speaking of that, there's you know, I don't want to say proof because I haven't seen the proof myself, but there are rumors swirling around, or they were swirling around, about Ashley Biden. I guess that's Biden's granddaughter, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe it's his daughter. I'm not sure. But in her diary, she said that he was inappropriately showering with her, and it made her feel very uncomfortable and stuff like this. And so, I mean, there are just tons and tons of things. Now, is that a crime against the United States of America or election fraud or anything like that? No, it's not. But it's something that, you know, most people, when they heard that, would have been like, no, I'm not voting for this guy. He's a pervert. I mean, you can see the way he sniffs these little girls and just, I mean, it's just in your face for anybody that's willing to look at it. But for whatever reason, these leftists aren't willing to look at it. And I've been watching this guy here recently quite a bit. I think his name is Klug or something like that, and I can't remember his first name. If I can think of the channel name, I'll put it right down here or something. But the guy goes around and does like man on the street interviews, and he asks questions like, you know, should the AR-15 be banned and stuff like this, right? That's the video that kind of hooked me and brought me into his channel. And sure enough, out in California, like on Venice Beach or wherever he's filming, the majority of people were saying, yes, the AR-15 should be banned and the Second Amendment is not written for today's weapons and stuff like this. All the liberal talking points. These people believe this stuff, and it's completely un-American. The whole thing with the COVID, and when we went through that, some of the things that Trump did didn't impress me. He should have done better. But again, Trump is not a doctor, so I mean, I don't really hold him to the same level as I hold someone who's been educated in medical stuff, right? So now he should have had better advisors. That was one of Trump's major mistakes, is he brought in a lot of the people that were in the deep state, like Bolton and people like that, right? And what's this attorney's name, Cohen or whatever, right? The guy's proven to be a liar, but they're taking this guy's testimony and trying to lock Trump up on a charge that the federal government in the past, under the Mueller investigation, decided there wasn't enough there to go after him. And not only that, to compare and contrast, Hillary Clinton got in trouble for a very similar thing than what's going on with Trump, and she simply got a fine. And that's probably what should happen. Trump should get a fine, a slap on the wrist, and they should be like, hey, yeah, you did wrong. Here's your fine, you know, $400,000, whatever. It's just an arbitrary number I pulled out. But, you know, here's your fine. Pay this fine. You don't have to go to jail, you know, because we're not going to change the way that the United States has operated for, what, over 240 years, right? This is unprecedented. It's dangerous because all of this stuff that they're doing to Trump can be turned on the Democrats later and used on them. And it will be. If they arrest Trump, guarantee you, if Trump gets reelected, I guarantee you, if Trump gets reelected in 2024 or any other strong Republican, they are going to convict Biden for all of his criminal activities and stuff. And maybe, honestly, maybe that's how it should be. But I don't think it's a good precedent to set because, and I'm not saying that once you're president, you're above the law and you can do whatever you want. I don't believe that at all. But what I'm saying is that this whole deal with Stormy Daniels and paying her off for hush money and stuff like this, in the grand scheme of things, is not a very big deal compared to taking millions and millions of dollars from the Chinese, the Communist Chinese Party. Joe Biden is owned by the communists, no doubt about it. They tried to make all these connections with Trump back in the day about Russia collusion and how he went over and supposedly, the Steele dossier, he went over and supposedly like urinated on a bed because Barack Obama slept in it or some shit like that. It was complete lunacy. I didn't believe the story day one, but the liberals did. The leftists ran with it, and they ran hard with it, even though over time, more and more stuff came out that proved it was infactual, it was a lie, created and crafted by Hillary Clinton and her people. It didn't matter, see? The liberals had already ran with that story, so they never apologized, they never backed off. All of their people still believe that Trump is somehow connected with Vladimir Putin and is in bed with the Russians, literally. They really believe this crap. So how do you break through to people like that? I don't know. How do you break through to people even on our side that believe the best president in my adult lifetime, Donald Trump, that he's done the best stuff for our country out of any other president in my lifetime, more conservative than any other president in my lifetime? How do you convince people that they should vote for him again and give him another try when the mainstream MSM media has corrupted everyone's viewpoint on everything? They've muddied up the water on everything. So how do you do that? I don't know. I try my hardest here on my channel. I try different angles and different ways to talk to people about it, but sometimes I don't get all my points across in the 20 minutes that I allot myself to make these videos. So anyway, guys, I just wanted to kind of let you know, I'm not a Trump sycophant. Trump has done a lot of things that make me question whether or not he's the best person for the job, but unfortunately, Ron Paul has aged out. In my lifetime, Ron Paul was the only person that I could actually call a statesman. Back in 2012, I voted for Ron Paul. I've still got the Ron Paul 2012 bumper sticker on the back of my old Chevy truck that I've been driving around since like 1999 or whatever, right? Because I believe in him that much. And his policies of liberty and freedom and getting rid of the Fed and things like that. Now, is Trump as anywhere near as good as Ron Paul? No way. But he's the best thing we've got out of a pool of really bad options. And it's interesting that the more of this stuff happens, you know, trying to arrest Trump, going down the raid on Mar-a-Lago, all these other things, and when Biden has done exactly the same things and there is no raid, it all points to me that we don't have equal justice anymore. And that is the real problem. That is what I was trying to convey, and I must have failed in that last video. It's equal justice. That's what we need to push for. It's not, oh, because this guy's my favorite guy, we don't prosecute him. It's not that. It's not about that at all. It's about equal justice. So if they're going to do Mar-a-Lago raids, that's fine. But then they need to go and raid Joe Biden's garage and the other college where he had all this top secret stuff that was hidden away. And we need to expose that. Why is it that when the Democrats are in power and they do the exact same things that they accuse the Republicans of doing, nothing ever happens? It just gets brushed under the rug. Well, I have the answer for that. It's because of the media. We don't have actual investigative journalists anymore doing their jobs, going out and actually, we don't have a free press, as mentioned in the First Amendment. We haven't had a free press in God knows how long. I don't know. I used to think back to the days of like Walter Cronkite and Brokaw and people like that. And I used to believe that the media was somewhat fair back then, although slanted to the left. But now when I look back on it through the lens that I see things through today, I know that no, it wasn't fair and balanced back then even. All the way back, probably into the 1950s is my guess, is when the media was taken over by people with anti-American ideology, such as Marxism, socialism, communism. And we're in real trouble, guys. I mean, I don't even know a lot of times what to say to convince people or to, even people on our side that this thing is worth fighting for, because so many people are just so disenfranchised and they just feel like there's no way to regain a free society, a liberty-based society. Maybe a lot of people don't even recognize what liberty is anymore. It's hard to see that sort of stuff when you're surrounded by people in a big city, that's for sure. I feel more freedom and liberty when I'm out here in places like this than I do in a big city. And speaking of cities, this push for 15-minute cities is not over. Part of breaking the dollar, bringing in the CDBC, whatever the hell it's called, CBDC, whatever, I don't know, the digital currency, the thing that's going to control your entire existence once they pass that. The whole thing about that sort of stuff is that it'll be a lot easier for them to cut you off when you disagree with what they say, right? Or when you disagree with the mainstream media. They can digitally steal your money or take away your access to your money, right? If you have no capital, if you have no way to, it's just another way that they'll be able to punish you and track you and use your own money against you as a weapon. Just like they've done on social media, just like they've done on mainstream media. It's just, we're facing the ultimate battle. The battle of whether or not we're going to remain a free country based on liberty, individual rights, self-governance, equal justice, all those things that we used to have here in this country. Those things are vaporizing before our very eyes, and the mainstream media doesn't exist. The mainstream media exists, but the free press doesn't exist anymore. They're all controlled, and so I'm very concerned, and that's why I was so passionate during that last video, and for that I apologize. I probably shouldn't make videos when I'm halfway hangry and already pissed off about the state of the country and doing my taxes and stuff like that. Yeah, I'm having to do my taxes right now to pay the government for stuff that I don't believe in, and that pisses me off on multiple levels. And not only that, a lot of the things they're doing are flat out immoral, at least from my perspective, what I believe is moral. This whole stuff with the whole transgender push and sending, millions or billions of dollars to Pakistan for gender studies and all this other weird stuff they're doing that's basically deflating the purchasing power of our USD. And it's all being done by design. As I've said, the 45 communist goals for America have almost all been completed. It's destabilization, it's demoralization, it's come in, take over the United States of America without ever firing a single round. And that's what they've successfully done. And I think that's part of the reason that they had to ban anybody that questioned the 2020 election. Because when exposed to the light, none of their arguments stand up. None of their arguments have any validity to them once you expose them to the light. So that's why they have to ban everybody that disagrees with their leftist ideology and doesn't believe that Biden got 83 million, whatever the hell it was that he got, right? So that's why they have to ban people that disagree with them. And so anyway, guys, I just wanted to clear the air on that. I think a lot of people saw my last video and they think, oh, this guy's like a Trump sycophant or something. He's probably got a MAGA hat. I don't have a MAGA hat. I've never been to a MAGA rally. I'm not necessarily for or against MAGA. I like the idea of Make America Great Again. And I like the policies that Trump put forward. I don't like a lot of the stuff that he did on Twitter and tweeting people and just, basically stirring up the hornet's nest. Now, I believe he was instructed to do that by Steve Bannon to kind of keep everybody on their heels, right? So that they wouldn't be able to attack Trump. And maybe it worked, maybe it didn't. Maybe it's what cost him the election in 2020. I don't know. It's above my pay grade. But I am worried for our country. And I think in the future, at least as far as I can see right now, there may be other candidates that come up. Maybe Ron Paul's not too old. Maybe he'll decide, you know what, I can run again. If Joe Biden can be 80-something years old, 81 years old, and doing as poorly as he's doing, and nobody ever calls him out on it, maybe it's time for Ron Paul. Even though he's older now, he still has that core liberty, freedom, abolishing the Fed, getting rid of all these agencies that do nothing but destroy small business and income for hardworking Americans. I mean, that's who I would like it to be. Rand, I like Rand a lot, but I don't think he's ever been quite as strong of a libertarian-minded candidate as Ron Paul was. So anyway, that's probably not going to happen. Ron Paul's probably too old for that, but our best option out of the bad options we have available appears to be Donald Trump. And as of right now, I'm not endorsing Trump, but as of right now, that's who I would vote for in 2024 if I had to vote. It certainly wouldn't be anyone that would give Biden a chance. Now, I realize there's a lot of vitriol. A lot of people it's really weird. There's two types of people when it relates to Trump. There's the people that just absolutely hate his guts, and there's nothing you can do to convince them otherwise. You can show them the proof that the economy was doing better than it had in years and years. You can show them how he deregulated a lot of stuff. And of course, since then, Biden came in and cranked that regulation back up. So it's almost like he did nothing, because Biden undid basically everything Trump tried to accomplish through executive orders. Biden has, as far as I know, he's done more executive orders than any other president in my lifetime. And it's funny because Biden was the one that said that if you rule by executive order, that's like a dictator or something along those lines. And yet here he is doing it. So, guys, we're up shit creek without a paddle. And in my opinion, as it stands right now, Trump is the only chance that we have to turn this nation around politically. Other than that, it's Jesus Christ coming back to save us, when the end times come. I mean, if you want to skip ahead to that part, I mean, in the end, only one person can save us, I believe, and that's Jesus when he comes back. So I advise you, get your mind right, get your spirit right, stock up, prepare now. Things are going to get a lot worse before they get better. We could see a repeat of 2020 in 2024. I am very skeptical of what may happen during the next election cycle. I can't say too much more about that, or I run the risk of getting in trouble here on YouTube. And I've worked hard to get my strikes all taken away, so I don't really want to do that. But I think you guys smell what I'm stepping in. 2024 could be another repeat of 2020. And if that's the case, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if that would launch off the Civil War, or if people would, you know, if there would be a real insurrection, not this January 6th BS that they claimed was an insurrection. I mean, it could actually turn into a real insurrection if enough people believe that the results are not accurate. Let's just leave it at that, and hopefully I can get away with that. But guys, let me know what you guys think down in the comments. We don't have to agree on 100% of everything, and that's fine. The reason I'm making this video was because I watched the video again that I made, and even from my perspective, I was like, okay, yeah, I kind of came off a little bit too pro-Trump in that. And really what I was trying to do was just defend the ex-president. Didn't matter who it was. I was just trying to defend this guy and talk about how it was unprecedented and how they really have nothing on it. It's a nothing burger. They have nothing on Trump. Several investigations have gone on related to this Stormy Daniels payoff money and hush money, whatever you want to call it, and there's nothing there. So the only reason they're doing this is to distract us from something else. I think we all know what it is. It's the banks collapsing. It's the economy collapsing. It's the fact that when you go to the store and buy a dozen eggs, if they still have any on the shelf, they're over $6 a dozen. That's a big freaking deal to the bottom line of most Americans here. So anyway, guys, let me know what you guys are thinking about down here in the comments. I don't think, no matter what happens, I don't think this next election is going to save us, but it certainly could make us fall a lot faster if it happens the same way it did in 2020. So be diligent. Watch everything you can on the news. Don't overload yourself or overwhelm yourself with it. Get out in the woods, refresh, recharge your batteries, get out in nature where liberty and freedom still exists, at least here on my land, and that's the way I plan to keep it. Appreciate you guys tuning in. As always, I stand for liberty to the bitter end. I hope you do too.